I'm gonna call to order the special council meeting of Thursday, January 8th, 2026. The Township of River-Matheson acknowledges the Apatippi and Assinipic Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the Township website for review. Confirmation of agenda, be it resolved that the agenda for the special council meeting of January 8th, 2026 be approved as printed. If I can get a move in a second, please. Moved by Councilor Allen, second by Councilor Gattery. All those in favor? Carried. Do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof? Being none. We'll move right on to item 6, new business. I'd like to say good evening to everyone and thank everyone for being here. Tonight marks the formal introduction and discussion of the Township's 2026 budget. And I want to begin by emphasizing that this is a council budget, developed collaboratively with staff and brought forward for council's consideration as a whole. This budget will be approved by resolution of council and not through the strong mayor powers. This evening's budget is intended to introduce the proposed budget, allow for initial discussions, and provide council with an opportunity to ask questions. Staff are present tonight and available to assist council by providing clarification, background, and technical details where needed. Public input is an important part of this process. Residents and stakeholders are encouraged to provide comments and feedback through formal written submissions to the Township. In addition, there will be an opportunity for public input during the open portion of the next council meeting scheduled for January 13th, 2026, before council considers final approval of this budget. I want to now thank staff for their work in preparing this budget, and I thank council and the public for their engagement in what is always one of the most important discussions of the year. Tonight is about understanding the proposed budget, asking questions, and setting the stage for informed decision-making. With that, I will turn it over to staff to begin the budget overview.
Welcome to the 2026 budget presentation. This evening, I'll be presenting the proposed 2026 budget by department. Following each department's overview, council will have the opportunity to ask questions specific to that department's budget. Department heads are in attendance and available to respond to any questions you may have. We're going to start with admin and finance. I just want you guys to note that the total revenue does not have a figure. The purpose of the budget process is to determine our final revenue figures. These numbers will be updated once the budget is balanced and tax rates are formally set. 2025 accruals. The 2025 accrual figures are still being finalized. As your invoices continue to be processed, these numbers will remain subject to change until all 2025 invoices have been entered. I'm hoping by the next meeting, January 13th, I will update those figures as to what the payables have happened or if we received any other revenue. For your reference, 1% of the budget is approximately $70,000. Our only unconditional grant is OMPF. It was reduced this year by 3.6%. We had an increase to all our uncontrollable costs. Insurance went up by 3% as well. Now I'll just go through very briefly a few other things throughout the admin budget that I think our investment income this year. We're sitting at revenue of $460,384. Did put it in a little less for 2026. I'd rather see a lower revenue be put in and gain more then put in something higher and we receive less. We go to council. We have their wages, benefits, the first section. There's really little change there. Under benefits, the insurance, you'll see it's gone up a bit because our insurance rates went up, and this is where the insurance rates is quoted. I've kept some convention and meetings and mileage and meals for council. We are in an election year. Therefore, there will be new council training, so there will be expenses in 2026. You'll know the difference in admin wages. We've had wage distribution. The CAO is now under admin, where before he was under PW. There are also 3% union increases this year. Legal fees, you'll note that are substantially reduced. Hopefully, they'll even be less than what was budgeted, but we have to keep a realistic figure in there. Under the transfer to reserves, you'll note that there's 239,527. This year we are looking at starting a new reserve for physician recruitment. We're going to put $50,000 into a reserve every year to entice new doctors. The remaining, the 189,527. This is 2.6% of the requisition. This is according to your asset management plan. The long-term debt, with the potential sale of the municipal building, it will be paid out. There is also, you'll see a principal and interest. I see that we will have a payment in February, and then hopefully everything will be paid and settled. There's nothing major under buildings and grounds. It's kind of just all the same. But if you go to the provincial services section, these are the increases that I was talking to you about, uncontrollable costs. Social assistance, childcare, land, ambulance, social housing, that's DSAB, public health unit, police services, and property assessment, that's MPAC. All these are actual figures except for the health unit. I don't have a figure from health unit on what the cost will be this year. In there is average over the last 4 years increase. Do you want me to stop there and you can ask questions from there before we go on? Because that's a huge section.
You want to just ask the questions direct, maybe, rather than
Okay.
I'll just monitor them as we go.
I just have a question about admin contracts under administration. It's 1100600. What does that entail?
We have the community improvement plan in there. We have an ARO assessment, which is required for the audit. It's asset retirement obligation study that has to be done for the audit. I've managed to 2026, we just have to get it done. The auditors have been very good over the last 2 years, just trying to help us get through the last couple audits. We also have an environmental assessment in there. The solar project, I completed the final claim for it. And because the scope of work had changed so much, the solar panels were initially supposed to be put on the roof. of the arena and they're on the ground. And they are questioning an environmental assessment. I've placed it in here and if it's not needed, great, but it really sounds like they want it. And yeah, that's what we have in there.
I just want a question, 1100500 financial services. Last year was, the actual was 293,000 and now it's dropped down to 78.
Yay.
Yay.
That is big. Last year we had huge tax registration. Our receivables, our tax receivables the collection hadn't been done. We had a lot of tax registration fees. That's where the fees go in. The fees are in there, but there's also a revenue section that offsets that. And, because collection is being done, our tax registration fees should be a lot less this year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just looking at the police service and stuff, that's a 36% increase.
There's $10,000 in the police services because there's a new social services board that has to be done. Just the police services?
We paid 420,000, let's say in 2025, and now we're gonna pay 572. That's 36% increase.
It's, that's an uncontrollable cost.
Well, I understand that, but that's still 36%.
They were,
Every community has been hit like that, though.
and again, that actual, there's 2 months in there that hasn't been hit, 3 months, I think, that the actuals, you can't go by our actuals, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Our actuals are not up to date.
So if you go to previous year, it was 506, so.
Yeah.
So it'd be what, 5?
It was 6%, I believe,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I have it in another spreadsheet.
And just like I guess social services is pretty well in line with that too. There won't be as much of an increase in that because it's not filled up yet.
I think social services went up by almost 8%.
Have it here.
Yeah. But those costs with, when you get the health unit, you get the DSAB, you get the police,
DSAP
Health
was
unit?
6%.
they submit a bill and that's what we have to pay. There's no,
Police is up 11%, sorry, I'm trying to get my bearings on where I have it. Plus in the police services, like I say, there's also a $10,000 expense in there because there is a new board, there's a new services board, mandatory, we have to throw that in. And MPAC has gone up 2.8%. And these are all uncontrolled, we have to, no.
Councillor Allen,
Under buildings and grounds, the line for contracts. I know the actual says 25,000, but even if it was 40,000, the next year's or this year's
Yeah.
is up to 68.
That is the rent for the building. We only had partial rent last year here. We have the full rent this year
Okay,
and our janitorial contracts.
Okay.
That's why it's,
okay, perfect.
yeah.
any other questions on that first portion? Okay, so. Continue on.
The next portion is planning and development. There's really nothing changed. Contracts, that's our CGIS mapping. Economic and development, the only change there, promotional materials, is we've added some decor for the town sites. And there are 2 billboards outside of our municipality that are in dire need of being replaced. So that's in there. That's it for that. We're gonna go on to the fire department, personal limit. Yeah. right off the top, you can see that we have a provincial revenue in there for 650,000. That is the long-term debt through Infrastructure Ontario that is going to be applied for the fire truck. That was already passed through council. Go ahead with it. Our building permits are up this year. And we're hoping that we'll even see more revenue next year. Under fines, there's nothing major. Service charges. Pretty much the same as last year and previous years. When we go to the Fire Protection Administration. There is under wages, just as you'll see that there is an increase there. We have a 2% increase for the wages in the fire department. And this includes like fire chiefs, honorarium, this includes everything in the fire department. And also we have put in a 3-month transition if by chance the fire chief decides to retire. We want somebody to be able to come in and follow his footsteps. You'll note insurance costs there, that's gone up, but like I said earlier, insurance did go up 3%. If you go down to the capital item. This is where the 650 for the fire truck comes in. But we're getting the grant. And the other capital item for the fire department are the bunker suits. The long-term debt, I've done an amortization on a payment being made this year for the truck. Buildings, no major changes. The vehicles, again, nothing major. I'm going to stop there and ask if there are any questions for the fire department to me, and then we can also go over to Mr. Lamb to ask questions.
Councillor Allen?
Just under vehicles, the fuel. Your actual, and like I said, I know your actual is not actual, but it's only $600. Or I'm just shy of $600, and in previous years, it looks like it's 4,000 to 11,000.
I have done no allocations for 2025 fuel.
Okay,
You'll notice that there will be bylaw, rec, and the fire department. If they've used the tanks that are in the yard.
Yeah.
I still have to do an allocation.
okay, perfect.
Yes,
So just this vehicle is just fuel for just fire trucks, right? But you don't normally get fuel from the tank here, you go to the gas, to the fuel, to the SO or? You
We
get it?
do a public works now,
Oh, do you?
yeah, only so for emergencies.
Cheaper.
any other questions? Bylaw enforcement. Under wages and benefits, I've combined them together so as not to disclose for confidentiality the one person that's under bylaw. You'll note that there's a little more under conventions and meetings, as our compliance officer will be doing some online courses, doing some exams and attending OBOA Boreal chapter meetings. Buildings. Repairs to the dog pound is what we're looking at under the buildings. Again, there's been no fuel expense for 2020 or allocated for 2025. I put in 2,000 this year. That is everything for building. Any questions? Or bylaw, I'm sorry, building bylaw. Yes,
D line 2400600 contracts, what is that for?
that will be our. We've allocated a little money in case we have to outsource.
Outsource for. Helping that department, you mean?
Yeah, so either if we needed to hire a registered planner, for example.
Okay.
Are we good? Other has to deal with drainage contracts. We currently have a drain that is being worked on. We're uncertain if it's actually gonna continue, but we allocated these funds. It goes through, this is what the municipal cost would be. And the engineering, tile and drains, that's money goes out, but we receive it back as revenue. Any questions?
Nope.
On to public works.
The big one.
Big one, yeah.
Going to be even bigger after this year.
Oh, Mulder?
Sorry, I got one question, 280,600 contracts under emergency measures, what's the contracts for emergency measures?
There is nothing in there.
Well, what did we do? That now it's at zero, what was previously 2,700 and 2,600, because now it's zero.
Give me 1 minute.
It's always been something over here.
What's the cost of being a guy and with the, when we did the smoke trailer and stuff there, the gas pay for that?
That's under the fire department, that's not emergency measure. That's that would have been training under the fire department.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no cost value.
what's the emergency number?
Like I know it's zero, but it seems every year that there has been some sort of expense there for contract.
I'm wondering if that's the code red. I tried to pull up my expenses, but I think that's code red. Which we don't have anymore.
The number matches.
That's,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that's what it is, but. No, sorry. We can go on public works.
Yep.
Yeah. So under public works, the provincial subsidies as well, you'll see credit for $549,000. We're gonna be using some Norts funding and we're gonna be using some CCBF funding. The Norts funding is going to help offset some of our gravel expenses and the CCBF funding is gonna help offset some of the bridge repairs we need. Changes in administration under PW wages. Again, it's a shifting distribution of wages. There is a 3% union increase for the for the union employees. They are looking at hiring a full-time qualified mechanic. And we will have an apprentice mechanic. So this is, and we'll have 2 seasonal employees in there as well. Down to buildings, nothing major there. Equipment wages, again, the wages, realize that in PW, let's say $1.2 million in wages. 1.1 actually, 1.1 million. They are distributed in all the different categories here. The wages in this case, I took into account that there are gonna be 2 mechanics working in the shop now, so the increase there, the allocation. That's just trying to figure out how many hours each public works employee is gonna work, whether it's in loose top, hard top, winter control, as long as like the wages are distributed evenly throughout. Materials and supplies are staying, we've gone up a little, we're thinking of the cost increases coming our way. Loose top maintenance. Under contracts, this is, sorry. That minutes. Loose top maintenance, sorry, that's our crushed gravel and our calcium. Do remember that 299,000 is going to offset that. Our top maintenance. Some cold mix and some miscellaneous patching. Winter control. We will have 2 seasonal along with, other regular staff. I see the contracts there. That's our winter salt under the contracts under winter control. That's our salt and sand.
For 195,000.
Urban maintenance. Nothing much changed there. The rural maintenance. The 350 under materials and supplies, that goes towards culverts and bridge repair. Again, 250,000, we're looking at using CCDF funding to offset. Projects. Street lighting, sidewalk maintenance, sidewalk snow plowing. Crossing guards, there's really not much explained in there. Do you have any questions?
Nope, you're baffling us, good.
Yeah, Go ahead.
For the rural maintenance there for material supply, the 350,000, you said it was for.
That'll be bridges and culverts. We did bridge reports this year and we have a lot of bridges to do repairs to. Yes.
Line 0201, materials and supplies under equipment,
Under equipment.
what does that include?
That's. Equipment repairs, so it can be
Okay,
anything for the equipment.
okay,
And I'm going blank here, but everything,
okay,
Yeah.
tires and,
so that can be labor and,
no, the labor is wages.
no, but to work on the machines, like if you have to get it repaired. Say you
It's,
have to bring a bulldozer in to a mechanic, that would include the parts and labor to repair it, or no?
She needs contracting out to.
Yeah, like if you bring it to a garage, say,
it would go there,
okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
thank you.
Good. The cemetery budget is a very small budget, not much changes every year, any year. You're gonna see a higher allocation to wages. It's just the allocation we've made with, that includes rec and public works. Students. Any questions regarding cemetery?
We're good.
Mr. Troll?
Yep.
Recreation. The federal subsidies, as we took into account, subsidy for our summer students. The 100,000 provincial subsidy, the ventilation system at the arena has to be replaced. We are going to use CCDF funding for that. We're really hoping to see ice time rentals up next year. That's under our rentals and concessions, sorry. Service charges, pretty much the same. We go into expenditures under administration. Wages here, 2% or 3% union increase. The director's wage, we are also looking at hiring a seasonal employee at the arena. So that if somebody gets ill or sick at the arena, we have somebody to cover. There's a transfer from reserves for some capital expenses. Some of the capital expenses are water bottle fill stations for the arena. The ventilation system is in here for 100,000. Treadmill replacements. And we all. Ice sprayers, an ice sprayer for the arena, and VG ball field, canteen and washrooms. Arena wages. This is when they're actually working at the arena, and this can include, just so you know, it can include the summer students. It'll include our 2 full-time and the seasonal. Again, it's been a wage distribution along rep. Under utilities, I did put it down a little bit. With hopes that our solar panels will actually come through and save us money at the arena. Hopefully it'll be more than that, more of a savings, but it's going to be our first year. We'll know better after we've gone through 1 full year. Again, you'll see 2025, there's no fuel allocation because I have yet to do that. Parks, ball fields, outdoor rinks. Other programs. And the boat launch are really nothing major there happening. The ventilation system at the arena is our big expense for 2026. Any questions? Yes.
Anything more for the boat launch, Mark, we having issues with the retaining wall and stuff, is that?
Yes, and we're getting that looked at. James or Mr. Levade has managed to somebody's gonna look at that for us.
Do you want to elaborate, Mr. Jagger?
Put aside for that.
No costs.
Oh.
For the actual,
Just look,
Yeah, sort of just essentially what happened here is I had an engineer that was willing to take a look at it. We had set aside about $30,000 or $25,000 for an engineer's report. He was able to identify fairly quickly what the issue was, and we've got a plan to resolve it. It's not going to conflict much.
Wendy?
I just under expenditures administration, And benefits, it went up $65,000. That's quite a lot.
Wages increased, which means remittances will increase. We've got a seasonal coming in as well.
Okay,
And you're comparing it to the actual, look at the 2026 or 2025, what was budgeted.
I was looking at the actual,
Yeah,
so that was like a $65,000 increase.
Yeah.
And what is other programs? Because if there's 48,000.
we have just anything else that's not, anything else. Oh, but you wanna see what's in the materials and supplies there?
Mr. Zager knows.
Like Canada Day, Senior Day, this, and all those kind of events are all in these recreation as well.
Yes. Swag, various events, seniors day, thank you.
Basically anything put on by Lisa and underneath that,
The
That
senior
was-
bus is still running.
Would that include the kids program?
I would assume so,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Al,
I'm trying to figure out where I was.
you
now.
lost it, yeah?
Oh, I see. Under materials and supplies for outdoor rinks, I see the budget has been brought down to $150.
Everything that was done last year to repair them.
so. The repairs may not be complete, but the material has been bought.
Okay,
Like for the outdoor boards and whatnot, where we wanted to replace them and we know. Like there's a couple that need to be replaced, the material was bought underneath the 2025 budget, but we did run out of time, so there's gonna be very. Little bit of money that needs to be spent to actually get the work done, now it's just man hours that is gonna be required.
The wages.
okay, I'm just, like. I know you say all the materials and supplies been done, but let's say something breaks in the meantime or something like that, $150 isn't a very good budget to fix anything. For that, and I know it doesn't have to be amazing, but $150 is very, very little if, let's say the sink breaks again. Or the toilet or something like that, so shouldn't we have money in there to kind of. Be able to take care of. That kind of stuff, not a whole lot, like I'm not saying 2,000 or anything like that, but maybe we should have it just a little tiny bit.
We also take into account, Councillor Allen, that there are materials and supplies for the whole rec. Like if one goes over and one's under, it's gonna balance out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same
I
as
just wanted to
wages.
make sure that there's room
The
to
wages
kind of,
may go
wait.
up in the ball fields, but may have nothing under other programs.
okay,
We,
that makes sense,
yes.
okay.
There you go. There, as so they just pointed out, there is also money under repairs and maintenance under the buildings and grounds. So, you
Okay,
know.
Yeah.
Any other questions on recreation? Good to go, we're going on to library.
Good book.
Provincial subsidies, that's the public library operating grant they get yearly for some. And the OLS grant that they receive. In all honesty, the library budget does not really change year to year, there's a little bit of an increase for wages. There's the small capital expense to repair some lighting. It's pretty it's like there's really not much change year to year in the library budget. If anybody has any questions?
I just have a comment, and that's due to Margaret Ann's persistent fundraising with her and her committee to keep the library costs down, so thank you. Thank you.
You can hold it. And then on to the museum. The museum budget is very self-explanatory. We have the building to, they have the insurance, utilities, and any minor repairs. Any questions on the museum budget? Yes.
We had spoken at our last meeting about possibly opening it maybe with a student from May to September. If that would occur, would that, how could we account for that?
This was talked about, there was no direction given to staff to do this. You would have to have more than one student, it would be wise to have one student working on one.
But
If that was-
otherwise, if they decided to go ahead with that, or, we formed a committee and it was possible, we have nothing in the budget for. No, so that means it won't happen this one?
Well, I wasn't given direction to put anything in the budget for it opening.
That's because we haven't really had a chance to
Yeah.
discuss it.
So as of now, if that was something, then it would have to come back to council for,
But we have till Tuesday to question and
oh, most definitely.
move.
Like, yeah,
We could move that to add to it if it was a suggestion by council.
most definitely. Yes.
Can I ask how much was allocated to the museum in the past? Just a ballpark figure.
I would have to go back because it's pre-COVID. That was the last time it was.
Okay.
And back then, I know that we had a curator in the museum for, I'm gonna say 6 months of the year. And the students were there for July and August.
Okay. Cause I'm assuming there'd be a lot of work involved to get that back into good order.
The museum is in very good shape.
Yeah,
It's, we would have to get our cleaner in to clean. Because they haven't been doing that, but other than that, it wouldn't take, it would be the staffing. And then to ensure that the buildings.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thanks. So, the way staff approached it, we believe we were given direction that there was gonna be a committee formed in 26 to look at what the best options are for the museum. If we're thinking that we're gonna actually be opening up the museum by this spring, and the committee hasn't even been formed yet, then absolutely we would have to relook at budget wise on how to allocate funds in for wages, but it would be more than 2 students. They would need supervision as well. And if it's being shifted over to the rec department as that was suggested, then we would just have to look at that whole layout. So we were waiting for the museum board to be kind of established, so then staff can, they can bring stuff back to staff and council to then try to find out the best path forward. It's a way that we looked at it, but
that sounds reasonable.
We good? Okay, well, we're gonna take a break now, and then we're gonna go, we just contacted, Mr. Taraka from Aqua to join us to review the water sewer and landfill. Sound good?
recess.
Yeah.
Like, get a move in a second, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna break.
So we'll take a 5 or 10 minute recess until Mr. Truck shows up from Aqua. So if I can get a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councilor Gadry, second by Councilor Allen. All those in favor? Thank you. Well, Lana's gonna end a recess. Okay, we've ended our recess, thank you. Turn the floor back over to Ms. Larson.
So before we go forward, I guess I should let us know. The operating, the budget, we're looking at an increase this year of 2.87%.
Oh, good.
And that is based on the spreadsheet that was presented tonight.
Yeah.
Everything that's
And
included in
everything,
it.
so that's what it's based on.
Okay. Any questions from council before we continue on then? Okay,
So I'm just going to apologize for the water and sewer. You will see in the user fees that there are some revenue shown there. I threw those in to help explain where we're sitting. So in the water budget, under the user fees, please just disregard those for now. We'll go under the expenditures. Administration. We have no conventions and meetings, we have no mileage or meals or any of that. Because if you remember last year, we have Aqua doing all of our water and our sewer. Collection, distribution, everything. So this year, we see the full impact of a full year with them doing this. But also remember, we have no employees that are doing this. We're not training, we don't have the benefits for them. Just for something to keep in mind. When I enter all the information, the best part is to go down to the distribution. I can do a little bit of I'll give you a few notes on what's included down here. We do have some wages, because if we have a water break or something, our guys will go out and dig, because it will be cheaper for us to do that than Aqua to hire somebody to go out and do this for us. So there is some wages on our end. Materials and supplies, again, we've chatted that it would be good for us to have stuff on hand, hydrants, water line breaks, supplies, etc. Because if we have it online or available to, it will be less than if Aqua provides everything for us. Under the contracts, we have hydrovac in there. So when we have water breaks or whatever, the truck comes in and does this for us. And in there also we have minor maintenance that Aqua will be doing. Full tire water, Matheson water, Ringmore water, Valgamy water. In the spreadsheets that were attached, lists the specifics for all this, and we can chat more about them. We have more questions for Chris, we can also do that. Under the contracts, this is the monthly billing from Aqua to have them do all the work. Also, remember, it's a full year. Where last year we only had a few months in there. There are capital items that are required to be under the capital project. There are things that have to be done. We did discussions with Aqua. Asked them if they could go through the capital proposed budget they had provided us and maybe have things wait a year or two just to help with expenses this year. Because if you do go down to the bottom line, my number is going to reflect different than that. But on this spreadsheet shows 222,000. That is what we would have to take from reserves this year in order to cover our water budget. That number, like I said, is wrong. Do you want me to go into what I'm looking at increases, right?
Mhm.
I have to pull up another spreadsheet. So we need to. We need 814,757 in revenue to cover our water expenses. What I've looked at here, is a 6% increase in water. But this 6% increase in water. On my file we'd have to take 196,000 out of reserves. But the 6% increase. The water bill, the average water bill per resident would go up $42. Which is about $10.50 a bill. $10.50 per bill cycle. If you wanted to cover that full 814,000, you're looking at about a 40% increase in the water rate. This year is like I said, this year we have a full year of aqua expenses. I let Chris speak a little more on that after. I have different rates here, different amounts that we could plug in, we could see how much we would take out of reserves or how much would remain in reserves. I also have, just for your information, you could actually hold that one up, the reserve one. I'll be able to repeat it. Just so you have an idea where our reserves are sitting, so when we're talking about taking out our reserves. 2024 year-end balance of the water reserves was $2.2 million, $2,233,019. We transferred from reserves $45,399. Unaudited 2025 year-end was $2.187 million. If we take 196,000 out of reserves, we will have 1.991,619 million remaining in water reserves. I know last year we had recommended a little higher water increase. Council had decided to go with a lower increase again, so that will impact us this year. Yes.
So is this taking into account some of the upgrades that we have to do for the water?
This is everything. This is all the capital projects that Aqua has proposed to us. Everything for water. We would have, staying at a 6% water increase, we would have to take 196,000 out of reserves for a balanced budget.
Does that include the master plan?
That's sewer. That's the next one.
It's an extra bit.
Do you want me just to go on to sewer and we can play or discuss numbers later, just so you have a.
You might as well do,
Or,
might as well do the water and sewer together so that they go hand in hand.
so in this. In the sewer budget, you'll see provincial subsidies of 319,000. That is the master plan. Again, we're gonna use CCBF funding, so it will not affect, like, we're gonna get the money. It's an expense and a revenue, so it cancels that out just so. Again, the user fees, disregard the numbers that are in there. I'm going to go down to disposal system maintenance. To give you a little bit of an overview there. In the contracts account. Trying to look it up. This is minor maintenance required by Aqua. There's a huge expense in Matheson water plant, 158,200. Which makes up part of that, like the 179. Under the Ontario Aqua Agency, that is their monthly billing, their wages. With a again, we need 529,092 in revenue to have a balanced budget. With a 5% increase in sewer. We would then be taking only 11,798 out of reserves. With a 5% sewer rate increase. That would be $32 per resident. Which rounds out to about $8 per bill. Any questions?
So to sustain or to keep what we have or to build on what we have, we have to take money out of reserves if we only do a 5% increase.
Yes. In order to put money into reserves, you would have to do a 6% increase. And there would be 1 second. With a 6% increase, we'd be putting just over $5,000 into.
And how much would that cost the taxpayers?
Oh, sorry, it's not my calculator. $55. Which would be about $13.75 per bill. So this is where I leave it to you to decide.
Well,
What
that's
kind of increase?
$55 a year
Yes,
at 6%.
at 6%. Let me just, I'll just double check that because I don't want to be wrong.
And at 6%, then we wouldn't have touch reserves to.
That's right, at 6%, we would not touch reserves. At 6%, we would be putting about $5,500 into reserves. Just didn't know what your thoughts were. This was just, I didn't know what your thoughts would be as this was just suggestions. It is always by far better for us to put something into reserves than have to take out.
Mhm.
Yes, sir?
Are we covering the cost to remove some of the sludge that we have to
Everything.
incurred last year?
Yeah.
So between sewer and water, we're paying $710,000 for that. Is that what we're doing?
That was my calculation.
That's your calculation.
$710,177.
Yeah. Very good.
And then the other contracts that I'm not quite clear on, we paid $333,766.
Almost $1 million.
That's $1 million a year. I don't
If
think
you let me rent my office, I have information that I can give you regarding another town that has in-house. Can I run?
Go.
I'm not gonna run.
Walk.
Don't run.
Just got back today there from your appointment there, don't fall.
Yeah.
No, no. I know it all was just like they're also and they're all hers, you gotta throw that.
Sewer is not that much because when you look at it, it goes.
You're paying over.
Well, that's not huge. Sewer rates. But it looks like if we increase the water rates to where it needs to go, I think we should absolutely.
Plant, that's what was one of the indicators that we had a pipe burst in there, but that actually triggered before the pressure alarms did. So you wanna start installing those in all your water plants, so if there's ever a water issue, those will trigger and call our guys out immediately if there's any type of water on your floor. Eyewash station solution, so these are for all your sites, you have 3 sites in Balgony. Oh, go ahead. Councilor Marsh.
Is that cost per location or is that total cost?
For the flood sensors?
Common costs
Yeah, common cost also has for all your plants combined together.
combined together.
Yeah, your water and sewer, so your lagoons, your wastewater plant, your water plants, pump houses,
Okay,
reservoir.
so that's not per, it's for all of them.
Mhm,
Okay,
correct. Solution for your eye wash, same thing, it's for all your facilities, all your locations, all the vehicles. Annually, we have to replace the eye wash solutions. For health and safety, consolidated linear infrastructure, environmental compliance approvals and regulatory changes. A few years back, the ministry has put regulatory items in place for municipalities to start updating their consolidated linear infrastructure and amending their ECAs. So what that has to do with is, you have to start after doing, legally have to start doing wet weather assessments of your storm systems. Assessments of your wastewater piping, and ensuring that there's no cross connections. And they want to get all these under kind of more so one streamlined document. So that when you start, and it'll go into across with your master plan too, when you start doing construction or expansions. You won't have to go through different ECAs, so if we dig up a water main and we wanna move it or replace it, there's a ton of. Paperwork to kind of hoops to jump through to get those processes. So we've actually got an extension for the municipality, we're supposed to start in 24. We got an extension to 2026, so we're gonna start doing those assessments this year. Generator fuel, for all your sites, it's an estimate, this year we used about $5,000 in generator fuel throughout all your facilities. We test your generators weekly and they're monitored obviously for fuel, oil and everything else. So once they get to about half a tank is when we start getting the truck to come in, obviously we do kind of a belt run and not just for one unit. And then chlorine injector spare part kits as well, so what these have to do is some of our gas chlorinators, we got chlorine, sometimes we'll have hypochlorite, which is liquid chlorine. And you'll have chlorine gas as well, which is up in a gas form in the cylinder. So there are spare parts for that, sort of total for your all items and maintenance capital for that section is $39,160. Full tire sewage lagoon, we just put a minor capital item there of $2,000 for any miscellaneous repairs. And that's a total for your whole entire lagoon. This year we did a bunch of dredging in all your lagoons. This year to clean the vegetation out, gain capacity. Better process, the ministry's happy to see that, so we're heading in the right direction. Matheson Waste Pollution Control Plant, that's your large conventional waste pollution control plant down on Quinn Crescent. Concrete grit channel repairs and maintenance, so I didn't have enough time this year, around out of time to start getting a concrete contractor to start looking at the troughs. So we've got concrete influent channels that are deteriorating, there's falling, there's exposed rebar. So we obviously got to start doing proactive maintenance and obviously it's a reactive maintenance item as well. So for 15,000 and then 12 for the subsequent years, we figured we could do a good chunk of repairs. We've been looking at different types of epoxies that we could use as well, instead of just going to a patch, so to speak. So we're looking at those items. Your generator servicing 3,400. That includes all your lift stations, there's 3 lift stations in town and your waste pollution control plant. SCB inspection, so your self-contained breathing apparatuses. Your mask, your tanks, anything to do with confined space, your annual inspection inserts. Lifting device and trailer, so that's just a $700 annual requirement for from the ministry to obviously certify any lifting device. from a manufacturer. Minor capital as well, 4,000 there for any miscellaneous parts and materials. Year-round chemical costs, so these two following items, those were added new in 2024. So back in 23 and prior, you didn't have to chlorinate and dechlorinate annually. You just did it seasonally when the river was open and thawed. The ministry has now wanted that done year round. So that's why there's a significant cost increase to obviously chlorinate and use sodium bisulfate to dechlorinate year round opposed to just seasonally. And those two costs are gonna diminish after you, well, they'll be zero after you implement your UV. So your UV will do your disinfection for your waste opposed to having chemicals. So you won't see those costs there anymore once you put your UV system in. Digester, sludge removal and hauling, so we've working with a local contractor that's back up and running now. Their cost is a lot more reasonable than the large scale outfit out there. So I think that 25,000 will be on the high end. So there should be a good chunk of change left on that one. Your engineering services, this item as well is for your UV. So your UV has to be implemented in full scale by 2029. And obviously we don't want to wait till the last minute, so this year we plan to do all your, we'll do all your specifications, your tendering, and pretty well have your project ready to rock and roll for 2027. I feel that 93,000 is a bit high, those are the quotes we received, but we've been working with some different engineering firms and I'm fairly confident you can probably shave a third off of that this year. So that's to have all your specifications, your design package. This engineering firm would accompany us to tender your project out for construction firms to bid. And obviously help us through the whole process, including your quality control and on-site management of that project. Waste plant blower servicing, so we have 260 horsepower turbo blowers at the waste plant. What that does, it blasts air into the conventional plant. And it helps everything aerate and digest and create oxygen, obviously, to have your microbiological reactions and start vegetable treatment process. Those blowers are about 120,000 a pop and they haven't been serviced in several years, so we definitely want to get that done. And then we figure every second year we might be able to stretch that to 3. But I just put it every second year, we're gonna kind of monitor the system after this initial maintenance route. Lighting upgrades to the exterior of the property, same thing there, the lighting is just obsolete and older. So we'd like to do a fair bit of lighting upgrades on the outside of the property for night operations and just health and safety around the property. Your implementation of your UV, well, that's 2027. And your total cost there this year is fairly significant, it's $213,800. Bearing in mind the engineering and some heavier components in your wastewater sector. Your Raymore Lagoon, your generator servicing for your lift station in Raymore. PAC is a chemical that you put in your lagoon to help with different parameters of sampling. If needed, we haven't needed to use it in the last few years, but it's there obviously just in case we need to put that PAC chemical in the lagoon, stir it up and ensure that our effluent that we're discharging to the environment obviously meets the regulatory requirements. You got your minor capital, same thing there, any minor items to do with Raymore Lagoon. Pump stations. So our pumps are starting to get old, so we need 2 rebuilds this year for 5 horsepowers. We get them done by Timmins Electric. They bake the motors, rewind them and everything. New motors are around, those sewage motors probably around 30,000 each. So we strongly obviously suggest to go with rebuilds and keep them going. And your total estimated cost there is $50,550 for the season. Balgonia Lagoon, the last item. Is $1,000, minor unforeseen capital throughout the year for a grand total of $332,860. And bear in mind, these capital items that we provide forward, obviously can be adjusted if there's financial concerns. But we're always looking out for the best interest in the municipality and the owner, right? So just like a car, maintain it and let it go. Your costs are gonna wrap up pretty high later on in the future. Nothing's cheap these days as well, so it's tough, and we've worked with the municipality. With Jill as well, this year we did about 17 water main, water service repairs a day, so utilizing town equipment, town staff. That saves a lot of money there, we've had good relations with previous person I was with, the town on Lake Elizabeth with Aqua. But they would buy all the parts, so there's no service fee or anything of that nature, it goes directly to the town. So we do understand everybody's financial constraints. And if there's anything else that we could do for you, let me know if I can answer any other questions, we're here to help out.
Thanks, Chris.
For council's information as well, the updated schedule, we'll make sure you get a copy of that.
So the paper that you printed out for me today, so, the capital expense is 380,685, is that the same number as what we're going to get on the news sheet? So line 4210900.
You in water or sewer?
I'm on sewer, page 1 of 2.
And sorry, again, where did you say?
It's capital under administration 4210900. That 380,000. What's that number? 380,685. Under administration.
380,685. You wanna know what's in there?
Yeah, that's not the same, right? So I'm just wondering where that's coming from.
That includes our master plan. And when on this spreadsheet that Aqua has provided. I take the capital items. Which are the higher price things, and the capital has to have a value to the asset to extend the life or better the life. Otherwise, it's considered a minor. So in here, the master plan is there.
And that's 319,000, I believe.
Yeah.
You went with the upper amount? Okay.
Yes. And then there's the grid channel repairs for Matheson, the Matheson digester sludge removal, the blowers and service maintenance, and the sewage pump rebuild. That's what's included in that 380,685.
Okay.
Yes.
So you said earlier on the sewer, if you went 5%, you would have to take $11,000 reserve.
Yes.
And if we went 6, we'd put 5,000 something. So to 5.5, what would that be? Pretty well equal to that, so.
Do calculations.
While Ms. Larson is calculating that, just remind everybody that 2 points that people mentioned during their speeches was Mr. Chiraka kept mentioning plants with an S. We're very unique, so we can't just be focused on Matheson here. We've got plants all over the place. That drives our costs up. Yeah. And the other item that Councillor Gaddery said is liability. Like remember, it comes to water, we're liable, so we have to make sure that we're fully covered. Mr. Chiraka?
Let's do the mirror councillor, so you actually have more than 2 at each site, so Balgonia, you've got your pump house on the highway, the plant in town. as well, and then you go to, you have all your lift stations, your generators, so all those in our assets are different sites. So they actually encompass quite a bit, so I just wanted to help provide some clarity.
Councillor Bouchard, it would give us. It would give us maybe 800 and some going into reserves if we went to a 5.5% increase. Are there any other questions? Yeah,
What for the water rates? What was the percentage that you had suggested?
I just took 6% of this.
Okay. And what would it take to bring it up to, so we didn't have to take reserves?
40% increase.
It was 40, okay, I thought that's what it was.
That would be putting into reserves, putting 3,000 into reserve.
Okay. And right now, it's how much coming out of reserves at the 6%?
196.
196.
Okay.
Or just, sorry, like this year, so we're gonna take 196 on reserves, but is it because we're doing more work this year for 2026? Is it like if we had end up with same costs for 2027, then we're gonna have to take again $200,000 on reserve? It's. Give us a bit of a future picture.
Through the mayor to Councillor Bouchard, so the only thing that would fluctuate and change is your capital letter. So next year, there's quite a few. You're almost looking, give or take, about the same.
Okay.
Within, if, like, we can redact things too as well, right? So even this year, if there's a wish to try to maybe gain another 20-30K, I can take a date tomorrow and try to, you know, fine tune a bit more and push a few things back. It's up to you guys.
Right, but all these things that we're putting a hold on, is that gonna affect our future?
I can't say it'll affect it in a great manner, but it eventually will catch itself up depending on the next mayor or council and how all that rolls on investment. So it has happened in the past where certain things have caught up. And things aren't getting any cheaper is the sad part as well. So you'd be looking at give or take about the same. Councilor Gatter?
I have a question about the implementation of the dechlorination project. Is the chart we have, it's showing next year as like a 1.6 million expense?
And I just want to comment on that. We have applied for funding for that.
Okay.
Okay? We've already taken that into account and we've applied for full.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So basically what you're saying is we have to be careful. We should basically go up to 10, at least 10% increase in water this year to minimize our reserve intake. So that next year, we have to plan that we're gonna have to use reserve next year also.
I'm probably not the guy to ask that question, but
Yeah, like,
yeah.
like from the data you've got.
Right, from on our end, we definitely want to keep everything, like your plants are in good shape. Even your buildings, like everything's in good condition, and we definitely want to keep it that way. And if you guys ever want another tour, I can send pictures of what the plants look like on the inside. Everything, go ahead,
I
sir.
have a comment on that too. The master plan. We go ahead with the master plan and we are able to develop, bring more water and sewer rates. Then the fees are distributed amongst more, whether it's commercial or whatever, it will help us. To remember that thought as well.
You mean if we bring more people in?
Yes,
And more businesses.
and more businesses,
But
and
that's,
right now, it's the costs are on
what we have.
so like in so many individuals, if we got more commercial or more, you know, more businesses, more, even more residents.
But that's every municipality word. We have to kind of work with what we got there.
I foresee in the next 3 to 5 years, like when your UV's done. You wouldn't have $100,000 in engineering and stuff this year, so you're gonna start seeing, if you look at historically, you'll start seeing a drop. But it'll still be probably around the $200,000 mark, would be my thought. As the mayor mentioned, I wish it was just one plant. Dividing everything out, like a flow meter is $8,000 to $10,000, well, you got 2 flow meters in each plant pretty well, right? So if flow meter is worth more than the building.
Any other questions under water and sewer?
Am I taking any direction on what kind of increase we're looking at, or what you wanna see, so that I can put these figures into next week's?
Councillor Allen,
Been doing my maths over here. So with the sewer rates, judging by the amount we need to increase and everything like that. It looks like a 6% or 5.5, as Councilor Kearsarge stated. To me, that looks like a good option to go with. It's not raising it too extremely, but we're also not removing anything from reserve for the sewer rates. For the water rates, however, there's no way we can raise it to 40%. The 40% is a crazy amount to increase a water bill by for the people of this township, and for some of them, for the quality of water that they receive. It's difficult to even be happy with any increase whatsoever. So realistically, it sucks to take money out of the reserves, but I think we can stay within maybe a 6 to 8% increase on the water, but even at that, you're gonna get people complaining, obviously. But I think we go any higher than an 8% increase, and we're gonna lose some people on that one. Where the sewer, I think we can cover no problem. I don't think the amount that we're going up isn't extreme. I know it's more and nobody wants more, but it's something that we can cover and put something back into reserve so that we're going up instead of down in reserves. But with the water rates, I think that's gonna take a little bit longer for us to clear up. And like Sonia said, I think looking ahead at the fact that we're gonna have some commercial and industrial things coming into the town, hopefully helping us dial that back for our residential users. And maybe taking up some of that cost, it will help us in the forthcoming years. But I'm thinking stay between 6 and 8% for the water, and like a 5.5 or 6 for sewer.
okay, thank you. Councillor Gavin,
I was thinking 6 and 6. Would be reasonable, I think.
okay. Sweet and simple. Councillor McCutcheon? What's your thoughts?
Well, the 6 on the sewer makes sense. The water, well, we're stuck, we can't play with water. I believe 6% is probably good. But we're definitely gonna have to figure out how we can fund this without diving into reserves all the time, without naming all the people. So I think the 6 and 6 is good for this budget, but I think we're gonna have to get creative for the next one.
Okay, we're still gonna get some guidance to Ms. Larson before Tuesday, so Councillor Morsch, your thoughts?
My thoughts were, I would like to ask our treasurer what she would recommend.
Here's the bus.
It isn't, like it isn't, and we don't wanna see taking out of reserves, we don't, but I mean, I think the same as Councilor Island, looking at a 40% increase is not feasible. I believe we're gonna have to take out a reserve this year
Mhm.
for water to keep the costs lower. And then I totally agree with the other councilors that say we look at next year and how we can really, whether it's crunch numbers, maybe there's more funding out there for what's coming down the pipes.
Councillor Allen?
One of the things that I'm hoping for is that once Chris receives that report back for Old Tire and gets that part going, the water quality changes. And hopefully people are happier with that, and that way going forward, the increases aren't as daunting for that particular community. And then maybe with that, I don't know if there is, but we could find some sort of funding for that to assist. Like there could be funding out there for assisting, you know what I mean? I can't think of
Yeah,
words,
through
but
Through the mayor to Councilor Allen, so that's something that we have a department as well that we would be looking at hunting something like that down. And with the backing of, hey, the health unit saying,
yes,
we want this and so on and so forth. There should be, I would assume there'd be a fair chance of looking at some kind of stream out there as well, so. We've got our eyes open as well for you, so to speak.
yeah, so hoping that maybe that cuts costs a little bit for us next year as well, if we have this program put in place and we were able to get funding in some sort of way, shape or form. That's just one spot where we can kind of cut down and not be taking as much out of reserves. And then again, with the quality going up, then people aren't as upset about an increase in the price. Because they're willing to pay for the quality that's there, so.
Thank you. Councillor Morse, did you want to,
I would go,
other than Ms. Larson's idea?
I would go along with 6% for water, because I think anything over that is gonna be difficult for a lot of people. And I'm good with a 5.5%, because that still puts, for the sewer, that still puts $800 into reserves. So I was thinking just to give everybody a bit of a break.
Okay, Councillor Bouchard?
Yeah, for water, I'd go with the 6 and then 5.5 for sewer.
Okay, well. There's, if you can put that in for Tuesday.
The 5.5 sewer, 6 water?
Yes, please.
Yes, will do.
And then we have all weekend to consider further and
I can have that to Monty tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And it's not set in stone tonight, this is just off the draft, so we're not to, no panic yet. So that puts you on to, I guess, landfill then.
Yeah, landfill
Oh,
too.
one more question.
Yes.
Would it be possible, when you're doing the water one, I know we're agreeing on 6%, but could you just throw in 7 and 8 just to see what the difference? How much it jumps? Just so that we can kind of look at it from a big picture and see how much we're willing to accept, because sometimes once you see the number, it changes your perspective on how much we can.
I do have a separate spreadsheet that has a bunch of different.
Yeah, I think you did that for us last year. So that's why,
No.
if we look at it that way, sometimes it gives you a better picture.
Good, thank you.
The landfill.
Landfill, yep.
So landfill is a little bit unique, because some of the landfill costs are covered as the user fees, like with water and sewer, and the other part of the landfill is under our tax levy. I'll just wait for to get it on the screen. Sorry, I thought we were done sharing. Oh, sharing is caring. Oh, sorry, guys. I got excited there. So the service charges under the revenue, tipping fees were pretty good this year. There are a few things we have to look into, so I've kept it just a little lower for revenue for 2026. Now, when you go into the user fee, that credit is 61,000. I'll speak to that regarding user fees. It goes with water and sewer. The rest of the budget, the expenditures are tax levy. The garbage contract goes with the user fee, and you'll see a significant increase, and I'll explain that when we go into the user fee. Engineering, that's Sturdy Environmental, that does our engineering out at the landfills, does all the monitoring and everything. The wages in the landfill, that has a full-time landfill attendant and a part-time landfill attendant, and the public work wages to go into push the landfill and whatnot. I am going to go over to discuss the landfill or the garbage collection contract. You can see that there was 101, or I want the exact. Yeah. The contract has gone up in rates. So in order to cover the contract, here again, last year we were looking at a huge reduction in the garbage collection. We reduced the garbage rates by $30 last year. This year, the suggestion is to raise it back up $30, back to $92 a year. But by doing that, we are taking another spreadsheet, sorry. I'll give you the figure in a minute. Sorry about that. By raising the garbage rates back up the $30 to the $92 a year, we have to take out of reserves $40,426 to cover the expenses. The garbage increase $30 a year, it's approximately $7.50 a resident. Any questions?
So, yeah, they got that lost so much. Like last year, we got the reduction because of the recycling, right? So,
They've gone up per lift. How many they're picking up, or the price per lift, they've raised it. We haven't had, let's say, a signed contract for 3 years, 2023 was the last time. And I know that Mr. LaFave is looking at alternatives. Still gonna be we're hoping to see a cost savings this year.
with an alternative,
Yes,
is there an alternative?
yes, there is, and it would provide, you want to speak on it?
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead.
Yes, you
You
do.
haven't spoken up.
I don't know how much I wanna speak on it, but yeah, I've definitely looked to source an alternative for our collection services. There seems to be a little bit of a discrepancy in the number of homes that are being billed versus realistically what's being collected, so I wanna rectify that. And then we're looking at potentially entering into a 5-year contract where we can lock in a reasonable rate, so that's something to come.
You know?
And so hopefully this will also provide bins the same way that we have the recycle.
Okay, yeah.
so.
I have a question about the wages.
Yes.
You were referring to full-time contractors, that's full-time employees. For
The
Black River
landfill
Matheson,
attendants?
yes, from
We
Black
have-
River Matheson,
Yes, they're looking at one full, it's the full-time is still only think it's 30 hours a week. And the part-time is 20 hours. And then in there are the public works wages as well. They have to go and push the dump and
right, but if you go to the landfill now, isn't it a contractor that's?
because we are down an employee.
So is that included in that wage, the contractor? That's currently sitting there?
I don't believe I put any contract wages for 2026.
Just to speak to that, if I can, it will either be the contractor or the wage. You won't see both, so it'll come out in the wash.
So we're paying substantially more for the contract.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
No.
because you're not paying benefits and not paying the high ones.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you should put a number out there, if you're paying $20 an hour for somebody to be there and full contract, there's $60 an hour to provide you the service.
Right, and I'm gonna say without
Yeah.
getting into detail too much, it's far narrower than that.
Okay.
So, and you know, I haven't done the exact calculation, but when you calculate the benefits wages. Versus what we're paying for the contractor, it's very, very.
And does this cost, does that include the beginning of the new hits? The new
Uh,
cells?
I mean. So again, it's sort of a reallocation of public works wages at this point, right? So if they're not on a road patrol or on a beat plowing, you see those wages in under
Digging the cells?
right, yeah. So again, that's one of those things that should be reallocated throughout the budget. Won't change the overall.
And you have to remember with this budget, like I said, these wages aren't gonna affect the garbage collection. This is a levy where the garbage collection is a user fee.
Okay.
It's this is a touchy, this is, like I say, a little,
So as presented, we have this year, in 2026, we're gonna have to pay $40,000 over reserve. Even if we increase the 30%.
the $30.
Yeah.
30, well, yeah. The $30, I was just thinking, last year we took it away, well, we're just gonna tack it back on, it's again, your call, but.
But if we tack
I
it up,
have, let me just say, I should have another spreadsheet.
At least we have a starting point for discussion. We've got
Yeah.
a figure for water, we have a figure for sewer, we have
Yeah.
a figure for garbage,
okay,
Yeah.
and we have a tax percent for our taxes.
Mhm.
yeah, we can want to kind of,
Yeah, but at least
Pardon
we,
me?
the whole, the 2.7, I kind of want to challenge that a little bit.
You wanna challenge the 2 point?
Well, just as we said earlier that the police costs went up almost by $80,000 a year. Right, and then we said the social housing went up about $60,000 a year, so just that alone is 2%.
And our OPF went down 3%. Like our unconditional grant went down 3%.
but we've also been able to realize savings through other departments, right?
Yeah. 'cause
So
we
we've
also have-
increased revenue in building permits, we're increasing tax revenue.
For your information, when we started this process, we were at an 18% increase.
Hmm.
So we have done major cuts, tried to save, figured we could. We also knew what our water and sewer was looking at, so we were hoping to bring in a tax levy that was
Yeah,
reasonable.
yeah, don't get me wrong, I don't think 2.7 is high, I think it, personally, I think it might be low. That's kind of where I'm headed.
Sonia, I was wondering if I could just put you on the spot one more time.
Only once, no.
Only once. I've been stopped so many times and I've got quite a few phone calls and I try to explain as best I can, but obviously I'm not doing a very good job. I get a lot of residents saying we have so much growth with the Mennonites building huge farms, the taxes that must be coming in. Where's all this money going? I actually got stopped at a store the other day and yelled at. Because, they said we have all this new buildings and you drive down the road, you see a brand new barn. Where's all that money going? What are we doing with it? Can you speak to that? Because I tried.
So I did bring this up at one of our past council meetings that I had a presentation from MPAC stating about our growth. And our growth was, it's gone up substantially. However, the growth is assessment under farmlands, which is quite a bit less tax rate. So we are seeing the growth.
25%, right, compared to.
Yes.
ours. Okay.
Yes, so we are seeing the growth and it's there and they are getting taxed, but there is so much of the growth going towards the farm assessment. We are seeing the growth, you can see that through our the impact. But we are also seeing the expenses are going up, costs are going up.
Mhm.
Cause our requisition really is only changing about 200,000 from last year, like really.
But we have more roads to maintain, we have more roads to follow,
We no more roads this year than we had last year.
even with the expanded Mennonites.
We have no more roads this year than we had last year. Yeah. Yes.
It's enough.
Yes, it's enough.
But the maintenance on our current roads has run up, like
Yeah.
the amount of calcium that we put on Valgany Road and Monahan Road last year was double than what we currently had done in previous years. Monahan Road right now, like last summer, you could almost grade it every other day. With the amount of farming activity that's happening on those roads, so, you know, as a farm is getting 25% of the tax. The amount of work that's going into those roads is probably almost the equivalent.
We used to get about with public works for years, we used to get about 5 loads of calcium. We have quite a few more now to help maintain the roads too.
I think we were around 21 last year, if I'm not mistaken. We were around the 20 mark.
Like the expenses are there. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it did, just it's hard to explain that to people.
And I know a lot of people are under the impression they don't pay school taxes, they do.
Mhm.
The school taxes are paid.
Mhm.
They're not getting a break per se.
Yeah, I've also had that issue of people coming up to me and asking me the same thing, and I've explained the same thing to
Always.
them.
Mhm.
And it's just, it's unfortunate that they're not in a position like this where they learn this kind of information and have this kind of knowledge. Because if they did, they wouldn't have the, you know, yes, they wouldn't have the concerns at all, because once you learn about it and you're in it, you understand it, but. That's why sometimes I tell people, you know, it's too bad you didn't get a chance to be on council just for 1 year. Just to understand where all these numbers and things are coming from, because. You would have a much better understanding of what's going on and. How to address your concerns with the township appropriately.
So I'm gonna go back to Bouchard. Are you thinking that a 2 point? Sorry, I'll grab my 2.87 tax increase? Are you wanting to?
Well, just because we got the expense of the fire truck, we got the, like I said, the VP costs coming up, social housing coming up. So just want to make sure that we still have a bit of a buffer.
Everything is in the budget though,
Everything's
like
there.
all those, like the fire truck is in there. All the expenses are in there. Everything has been accounted for 2026 budget, and with everything accounted for, we're at 2.87.
But if we went something to like a 4 or 4.5, that would help build up our reserves again, would it not, or cover other expenses?
If council wanted to put more towards reserves, like I said, right now, I'm about 2.6%.
I'm just concerned with our water and our sewer that we have to spend megabucks on.
The water and sewer are totally separate though. You increase your tax levy,
It's not gonna help.
it does not affect water and sewer. Water and
Okay.
sewer are user only.
Okay,
Only those that use it pay for it.
Yeah. Okay, so the tax increase wouldn't help that at all?
No, that's what you have to keep in mind, they're completely separate. If you put more into reserves, it's going into working reserves
Okay,
to help you future, like down the road
okay,
with the tax levy.
right, so that'd be for roads, infrastructure,
Yes.
bridges, which are. in
All our
dire-
infrastructure.
Which
all-
our bridges are in dire need anyways.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just for Jill, are we planning to buy another truck in 2027? Like, do we have money put aside for that?
That would be more like long-term debt and capital. Me and James right now are going through our equipment and. We have promised the treasury department that in the first quarter of this year, we're gonna do much better at looking at our 5-year capital project. In rec and in public works.
And
Yeah, but we've. Sonia's trying to be nice, we need to do much better at public works than what we did this year and give them figures, and that's on me. But we are gonna need some new pieces of equipment. We're probably looking at a truck and maybe like a blower attachment maybe for a loader. And there is gonna need to be a new loader eventually as well. If we look at just the last snow event we had, we may never see another one, or we might have one in 2 weeks, we don't know. But we've seen the impact of having a blower attachment on a piece of equipment. Was really able to get really anywhere we needed to, and you know, with some local contractors and the Mennonite community helping us, we seen the effect there, so we're gonna be working on that. As part of our New Year's resolution here, I'm looking more at our 5-year plan at more in depth, but yes, there is gonna. Be some expenditures, that's why we went with the fire truck this year with long-term debt as a cap project, because we figured it was the one that was most needed. And then Mr. Guy will have to wait his turn again for a couple of years, and James will want something soon, so. Yeah.
we did work on the 5-year capital plan, but like. I did it more as for a worksheet just to see what we'd be putting into reserves in the next few years, you know, with. But we do have to. Take a hard look at it.
Yeah, because the other thing is, we are here and just build them now, but. You know, if we plan to do anything in 5 years from now, we gotta start.
Yeah, well, that's why, like, you know, looking at our community improvement plan this year getting done, and relooking at our asset management plan should give. But, you know, hopefully we have those things completed by the fall. So then our hopes is that, you know, we can really start looking at what is our long-term plan, you know, we also, like, we have. The public works building itself is almost aged out as well. You know, if anyone ever wants to go for a walk around the shop there, I'm glad to take you. But you're starting to almost be able to see through the walls,
Yeah,
so
it's
that,
tired.
right, so. There's for sure gonna be some opportunities there, there's, you know, it just, we're not sure exactly what way we're gonna lean yet, so we weren't, we didn't put nothing there.
My only concern is if that we go too close to the bone with the, that we don't have any extras, we need to think about all the stuff that you just mentioned. And maybe prepare a little bit by raising it up a tiny bit more.
So with the capital planning and whatnot this year. Long-term debt and. At the end of 2026, we should still see about 4.2 million in our reserves. And that's up from 3.7. So it's building it up slightly. Which is, I'm very happy that we're putting money into reserves, because for quite a few years we withdrew and did not put in. This is at least a step in the right direction. If you say, hey, I wanna put more than 189,000, I put it in, it's gonna raise your tax, it's gonna raise that.
Okay, one item that I had forgot. It was right at the beginning, but we won't go back, I'll just explain it, but one of the items that we have every year, we put in the budget is utility bill donation. So I forgot, I should have mentioned it, but my suggestion is that we reclassify that, I guess. Instead of 14 grand, to redo it into an amount that we put into a fund for the future repairs at the family health clinic. We've been talking about the doctor recruitment, we've been talking about the repairs that the health clinic needs. But if we're gonna be in the ballgame for a doctor very shortly, we know the hospital has requested that we participate in the repairs of this hospital. We have nothing in there, so if that might be a suggestion that we take the 14. I don't know if you can come up with a figure that you suggest, but
So I've actually been meeting with the hospital quite regularly, talking about doctor recruitment. And what it's gonna take to get family physicians full-time in our community. And the current location that they have to work out of is, I think you guys went for a tour around the hospital,
Yeah.
right? And the hospital doesn't have really any funds to upgrade that building, because that would be for the family side. And, you know, hospital, most of their funding comes on the emergency side, so, as the hospital is actually gonna start actively recruiting for family doctors for River-Matheson, now that we have the reserve set up, they actually have something that they can build off of. The next step will be is when they get a doctor to come to our community to look at our great community, they're gonna walk in that office space and they're gonna go, woof, this is where I'm looking out of, right? We have a lot of great things and, but I think that's where we're gonna have a very tough conversation. We had a Zoom meeting late in the fall and they came up with a figure that it would take to remodel, bring that part of the hospital kind of back up to snuff and give it a new look for physicians coming in. And that total bill was $100,000. They also recognize that the township paying $100,000 in one shot to upgrade something for the future may not be feasible. But, you know, if we could do it in a 2 or 3 or 4 year and put X amount of dollars aside for them each year to start remodeling that piece of the hospital, it could help us in our doctor.
and I feel that any amount that we put in as we approach any of our community groups or partners, we're not just putting our hand out, we're saying, look, we're gonna contribute some of our funds if you will help us, you know, the larger corporations we have around here, so. It looks better on us if we're participating rather than just asking somebody to help us out. So we already have in our budget, as of right now, we already have $14,000 in there. But if we reclassified it and up the amount,
I totally agree.
I was assuming somewhere 20 to 25, it's an 1/8% on our tax, I would think,
That's what I was thinking too,
yeah.
20 to 25.
So that 3% was probably covered.
3.0.
Good to you.
There you go.
At 25, I put to 25,000, we're at a 3.03%.
Again, that's just a suggestion, if we can leave it at that, and then on Tuesday, we can finalize and discuss some more. Is there anything else, Ms. Larson?
That's everything for me.
Do you have direction, enough direction?
I have direction that sewer 5.5, water at 6, included 7 and 8% increase. 3.03% for the tax levy. Landfill up to $30.
But what's the government, cost of living, how much did it go up for 2025?
It was, I wanna say, just shy of 3.
Okay. So we're-
Yeah.
So again, we just wanna remind everyone, like, you know, this was the first look. Like residents as well, questions, comments, concerns, please reach out, you know,
Mhm.
email ourselves, email the mayor. That's what we're looking for, we're looking for more input, as well as next Tuesday. But we feel staff, I won't speak for all the staff, but staff has put in a lot of time, and the treasury department has put in a lot of time, and there was quite a few debates around the manager's table on who was gonna give what up for us to come up with what we thought was a very approachable and reasonable tax levy increase for 26. And I just wanna commend all the departments so far for the work they've done, so.
Absolutely. Good, thank you very much.
And then again, if you need to message me tomorrow, I'll take any questions you still have, for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll read the resolution and we'll move forward. Be it resolved that council acknowledges that council acknowledges that it has reviewed and discussed the draft 2026 operating and capital budgets. And that the draft 2026 operating and capital budget be brought back to council for formal adoption at the January 13th, 2026 meeting of council. And that council direct staff to post a public notice inviting input and comments on the draft 2026 operating and capital budgets. Can I get a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councilor Gadry, second by Councilor Bouchard. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to last item, be it resolved that this special council meeting is hereby adjourned at 7:21 PM. Can I get a mover and a second, please? Councilor McCutcheon, Councilor Bouchard. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you to our public